Okay, so some of you are new, right? You're new, first time? Yourself? New, 3 new people. Well, that's very good. Thanks for coming from through the traffic and reaching here safely, navigating the very fast motorcyclists and other speedsters. How many of you are familiar at all with Buddhism or meditation? Any of you? Little bit? What have you engaged in?
I've read about Vipassana meditation,
Mm-hmm.
engaged in Shivananda yoga meditation sessions.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Very good. And yourself? Anything? Any reading or background
So
in Buddhism or something related?
I'm not being very religious till date, but I've been trying to meditate for the last couple of months, and I went for a retreat, a course actually, at the Dharma Center.
10 day?
By Geshe Lagdolna.
Oh, very good.
It was a 7-day course.
Oh, excellent.
And that is how I came to know about the Tushita, the Delhi center, and then I saw there's a session happening.
That was an introductory course? What was it titled?
Introductory course. The subject was Awaken Your Profound Nature
Oh,
and your mind. So that was something.
that was a beginner's course?
Yeah, it was a beginner's course.
Okay. Good. And yourself?
So I'm a yoga practitioner, so I've been practicing meditation since past 5 years.
Okay.
There have been ups and downs.
And have you looked at the philosophy at all behind yoga?
Yes.
Ashtanga Marg and that you have. Very good. Good. Anyway, we have a saying, at least in the Zen tradition of Buddhism, Zen mind, beginner's mind. But the beginner's mind is less cluttered with ideas and thoughts and this is the way to do it, that's not the way to do it, I know now, I know best, my way is better than their way. So all of those cluttering thoughts aren't there so much in the mind of relative beginners. So that's very good. People like me are stuffed full of ideas and thoughts and prejudices, I would say, possibly. Prejudices regarding Buddhism, inner work, you could say. So to be a little bit free of that is good. It's very good. So let's start with some quiet practice. Well, it'll be quiet at the beginning, and then I'll introduce some things to think about. So if you just adopt a comfortable posture, that'll be good. With an upright back, which, as you all know, I'm sure, is very good for body and mind to be like that. And we could say that it also can help us develop a sense of not only stability, but a sort of healthy self-confidence. Not arrogance, but self-confidence, which is so important. And in this posture, the front of the body will naturally become somewhat open. And that's also highly significant, because often nowadays, and also depending on one's temperament, we do want to hide, don't we? We want to hide from the world, from other people. We want to be with ourselves, and we kind of don't want to open up and relate with the world. It seems to be too much effort. Or there may have been difficult situations where we've been hurt when we opened up to others or the world. So we'd rather kind of hunch over and protect ourselves. So here we are, you could say the posture itself, and excuse all these words at the beginning, the posture itself is showing us a sort of courage, really, I suppose you could say. We're willing to open up and face others, the world, relate with others, and if possible, of course, be of some benefit to others. So the front of the body is open in this posture, where the heart is open to others. Because others also need our help. Others are suffering, others are confused, and so forth. So, be aware of this posture and its significance. And now let go of the thoughts for a while and just bring the attention to the breathing. Natural breathing, not pranayam, not controlling it, just being with the breath. As it enters and leaves the body, a sense of letting go with the out-breath. Stillness in the body, a sense of relaxation in the mind and the body, without tension, and yet very awake, very alert. So these three qualities of stillness, relaxation, and, let's say, wakefulness. Just being with the breath. A sense of letting go with the out-breath. Noticing the thoughts which may occasionally intrude, but not getting caught up in them, just letting them go gently, without impatience or any kind of aggression, just letting them go, coming back to the breath, just back to the breath. So in this way, if we were to continue in this way and become more expert in this practice, then there could be a tremendous sense of calm and ease that might be experienced. Even some people might experience a very blissful sensation or feelings without thoughts, very calm. But from the Buddhist perspective, that is not enough. It's a good foundation, of course, but it's not nearly enough because there are, let's say, two factors which we need to consider seriously. One is connected with what we might call wisdom or insight into who we are, into the nature of reality. And the other side, the other factor we need to also bring into play is what we might call, well, there are several words: empathy, compassion. We use compassion, that word, a lot in Buddhism. So, to start with the compassion side as part of our motivation before the main body of the talk and then some discussion, don't you think it's extraordinary that, I mean, very painfully extraordinary, that although you and I in this room and everybody else probably in Delhi and on the planet really in their heart of hearts want to be happy and to have pleasant sensations of connected with the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the touch, and mental feelings of all kinds. We want them to be pleasant. We want them to bring some kind of ease or pleasure, happiness. We don't want any kind of disturbance, any kind of disharmony, any kind of suffering, down to the minutest discomfort connected with, say, an itch or something slightly uncomfortable in our posture. Then we don't want it. We change, we scratch. So isn't it extraordinary that every human being, every animal probably, every living thing with a consciousness on this planet wants to be happy and have pleasant sensations and doesn't want the opposite. And yet, what do we see in this world? So much sorrow, so much anguish, so much pain. And if we look closely, so much is being inflicted on ourselves by our own negative thoughts and actions, and we are harming others with our bodies, with our words, with our thoughts. It's extraordinary how much we are creating misery for each other. Some is very obvious when a bomb is dropped or a missile is fired. That is very obvious kind of suffering. But there are many other levels of it. And we inflict a lot of verbal violence on one another, subtly or not so subtly. It's not just about shouting or using harsh speech, it's about putting others down, sarcasm, all sorts of things which harm others. So isn't that strange? We all want to be happy, but we keep on creating causes for our own and other people's suffering. Because if we, you could say, acted wisely to create the conditions that we want in life, then we would behave in a way that, brings happiness to ourselves and others. We would create causes that produced a harmonious environment, harmonious family situation, community of nations, and so forth. But no, we can't do that at the moment, it seems. So this is due to the power of the mental afflictions or delusions. We use that word in English. Klesh is the Sanskrit word. The disturbing factors in the mind, the unsubdued minds we have. Due to that, the power of ignorance, anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, so forth, and sort of ignorant, deluded doubt also, we just create more and more and more pain, more and more confusion. Yeah. So it's not enough just to calm the mind, because how long can we do that for? At some point we have to go upstairs and face the world with the traffic and the almost lunatic. It's like some of the scooterwallas and the motorcyclists are possessed with some demon, the speed demon, the irritation demon, quite understandably, wanting to get home as quickly as possible after what for many is a tiring and boring day's work, ultimately unsatisfying, even relatively unsatisfying work. So we have to navigate that world, the world of people and machines. So we might find that just that point being calm and clear is not easy. We need to develop some mental muscles that will help us to cope and utilize our situation so that it can even benefit others. Okay, thank you. So that's why being calm is very good, but it's not enough. And as our teachers often point out, that's the danger. We can begin to feel very calm and blissful and without thought, and feel that we don't need to do any more. But we need to do a lot more. So let's motivate that by listening and discussing together today. It may be of benefit to many beings, may benefit ourselves and also bring benefit to others. So I'd like to start with well, let's start here. Milarepa was a great Tibetan meditator, yogi, whose life is very revered and studied in the Tibetan tradition. He engaged in a lot of negativity when he was young, to the extent of using his powers to even harm and kill people. Then he found a guru, an authentic guru who set him on the right path, but it was not easy. He had to face a lot of trials and tribulations and hard work before he could get the teachings which he wanted. He couldn't just roll up at the center or the guru's teaching and expect to be taught. His teacher actually kicked him, beat him, kicked him out of the meditation hall, the teaching hall, didn't allow him to receive teachings initially. Anyway, that's the whole story which you should read. Anyway, he was famous later once he'd received teachings and practiced them. He developed realizations, spiritual realizations very quickly due to his intense devotion and hard work. And he often taught through the medium of song, poetry. So his songs are very famous, and they speak of the 100,000 songs of Milarepa. So here is when he went to a particular place to meditate, and he lodged at an inn, and there he was approached by a merchant who obviously didn't have a very high opinion of yogis. He thought obviously they just received food and drink from people, and what did they do, What did they do to earn a living? So this guy says to him, "You yogis are accustomed to taking the belongings of others to enjoy yourselves. Why don't you try to earn your own living? It would be much better to be self-supporting." Yes? You can hear many people say that too nowadays. If you were to be courageous enough or foolish enough to take some time off, or say, "I need time off, I don't want to have a job right now, I don't want to earn," then you might get some people saying to you, what are you doing? You know, be much better to be self-supporting, to have a proper job like everybody else. So Milarepa said to this person, it is true that by following your way one may have more immediate happiness and enjoyment, but this very enjoyment will cause more suffering in the future. This is the important point you have neglected. So now listen to my song called The 8 Reminders. So if you don't mind, I will read this. Is that okay? क्योंकि मैं तो बोलते रहूँगा, I can talk nonsense, quite frankly. So I'd rather quote from a proper text, with the realizations of somebody who was a very great meditator. So this is what Milarepa sang, of course in Tibetan. This is an English translation. Castles and crowded cities are the places where now you love to stay. You Delhiwalas. Of course, he doesn't say Delhiwalas. So castles and crowded cities are the places where now you love to stay. But remember that they will fall in ruins after you have departed from this earth. Pride and vainglory are the lure which now you love to follow. But remember, when you are about to die, they offer you no shelter and no refuge. Kinsmen and relatives are the people with whom now you love to live. But remember that you must leave them all behind when from this world you pass away. Servants, wealth, and children are things that you love to hold. But remember, at the moment of your death, your empty hands can take nothing with you. Vigor and health are dearest to you now, but remember that at the moment of your death, your corpse will be bundled up and borne away. Now your organs are clear, your blood and flesh are strong and vigorous, but remember at the moment of your death they will no longer be at your disposal. Next one I need to remember. Sweet and delicious foods are things that now you love to eat, but remember at the moment of your death your mouth will let the spittle flow. सब गाजर हलवा कलाकंद वगैरह कुछ नहीं खा पाएंगे मौत के समय. When of all this I think, I cannot help but seek the Buddha's teachings. The enjoyments and pleasures of this world for me have no attraction. I, Milarepa, sing of these 8 reminders at the guest house of Garakache of Sang. With these clear words, I give this helpful warning. I urge you to observe and practice them. So, this is the reminder which we are given again and again. Basically, the reminder of impermanence, how things are changing all the time, and they end in death. Everything ends in death. Or parting, let's say parting. Dissolving. What comes together dissolves. We'll be here, you may have enjoyed Tushita and the cool and the place, even the talk maybe, the discussion, and then you have to go. Then for little while you might feel a little forlorn that you had to leave and go back up into a crowded place at street level. Everything ends. And the Buddha said that the meditation on death and impermanence was a very, very important one of the best meditations. He compared it to the footprint of the elephant in the jungle. He said, just as the elephant's footprint is the largest footprint, so this reflection on death is the most important reflection. Because otherwise we just carry on as though things will go on like this forever, So, concisely, if one were to say, what's he saying in this verse? Well, there's another short verse of his which I like to quote. It's one of the few things I remembered to quote, which I know by heart, very short, of course, where he says that, bring to your mind, toss to the winds your concern for this life, and bring to your mind the unknown time of your death. Remembering the pain of samsara, why long for the unnecessary? Why long for the unnecessary? So this is very difficult because we have so many longings. Now, what is necessary, what is unnecessary, वो तो चर्चा कर सकते हैं इन चीज़ों पे. What is necessary for one person is not necessary for another. I live in a colony where one esteemed member seems to think 8 or 10 cars are somehow necessary. Really, they have that many cars parked. Of course, they are bade aadmi hai, a huge house, and obviously that for them is kind of necessary. For our household, one car is necessary, and for me, a car is not necessary. I would crash it anyway. I can't drive. For me, I use metro and walking and so forth. But they, for me, are necessary, you could say. So what is necessary, what is unnecessary? This is something to be looked at. But I guess what Milarepa may be saying is check what is going to give you long-term refuge, long-term satisfaction, long-term resilience, loyalty. What is really going to help you long-term? And of course, remember, we Buddhists, most of us anyway, have some feeling for continuity of consciousness, right? Rebirth, continuity. It doesn't just finish when the body finishes this time around. So we need to think long term. And right now we're not doing that. We're just thinking of what can I get today, tomorrow, maybe a little bit longer. We're beginning to, save up for the future, of course, those who can. Save up for the future. Save up for an imagined future, that is. Who knows what our future is. But we save up, we have provident funds, we have fixed deposits, we have all sorts of things. Insurance. Hoping that will help us down the line. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But having money, a lot of money, let's say, before we, in the years before our death, will not necessarily help us have a good death. May help us have death in a very expensive hospital, but that might not necessarily be the best death. Certainly not according to most of the Buddhist practitioners. To die with expensive tubes sticking in you and so on and so forth in a intensive care unit is not many practitioners' understanding of a good death. But your money will buy you that, or your relations or children's or your insurance will buy you that. But may not be a happy death. And then, if it's not a happy death, then tricky. Anyway, let's not talk just about death. There's a lot of other things to talk about. Milarepa in another song says that I'm a yogi of Tibet. A yogi means someone who is trying to connect their mind, their consciousness, their awareness, let's say, with what is real, what is the truth. That's the real yogi. Of course, there's Hatha Yoga, there's physical yoga, but the real yogi is the person who conjoins their mind, unifies their mind with the truth, with reality. That's the meaning of the word yoga, yug, to join. It's also actually the meaning of the word religion, by the way. Religare is from the Latin to reunite, to join. So we think religion is often a dirty word. We prefer spirituality. And spirituality is a weird word because you ask people what spirit is and people give you very strange answers. So religion is actually a very good word if you understand the root of it, which is to reunite ligare. We get the word ligament from ligare. It's that which connects. Your knees and elbows wouldn't work without ligaments. So that sense of joining, creating something that works, joining things together. So he says, I'm a yogi of Tibet. I'm not just a not just a religious person or a spiritual person, so-called. I'm a yogi. My aim is to unite with reality, with that which is true, not the deception which the world lives in. He says, I don't have much learning. I haven't learned much, yet I have a lot of instructions. I take little sleep, though persevering at my meditation. Humble am I in heart, great is my persistence. My own teacher, who passed away a few years ago, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, that's the picture there with the yellow hat. This is the yellow hat school, by the way. There are all sorts of different hats in the world. There's red hat people, Kagyu school of Buddhism, and this one, Gelugpa school, is yellow hat. But we don't wear our hats very much, and I never wear a hat. But anyway, so Rinpoche is there with the yellow hat. He didn't sleep. Really, I'm not kidding here. It's not just someone I'm saying because I was his disciple, so I'm just inventing this. So he didn't sleep. He meditated at night, and he didn't lie down also. So there are yogis like that who have, and you probably know of other saints and so forth from other traditions, Hindu traditions, who never lay down, who sat, meditated. They didn't need to sleep. So Milarepa is saying the same thing. My bed is small, yet I'm free to stretch my legs. My clothes are thin, yet is my body warm. He wore cotton robes, just thin white cotton cloth, when he was wearing anything at all. At one point he didn't wear clothes. But then when his sister came to see him, I think his sister came to see him to bring food or something, she was shocked at seeing her brother naked, everything naked. So he decided after that maybe he should wear some clothes, and they freak people out, He's supposed to help people in this world, so he didn't want to upset people. So he wore some cotton clothes. And we're talking high mountains of Tibet, right? But he didn't need anything else because he had the yoga of creating inner heat. There's a practice of creating inner heat. So he's warm. And there, you can see on YouTube, you will find probably some things about how yogis can melt, can dry wet clothes that are put around them in cold weather, and due to the inner heat, the cloth dries out completely, and so forth. Anyway, I eat but little, yet I am satisfied. Wow. I wish. I eat but little, yet I'm satisfied. So yesterday I went with my cousin. We had a veggie supremo 10-inch thin crust pizza at Nirula's. Yeah, with mustard, extra oregano, some people say. Shocking pronunciation. I say oregano. I'm half British. Oregano I can't stand. I can't stand tomato either. But we British do say potato. But then that's the fun of the English language. Anyway, so we had that, and yet we weren't satisfied. Although, it took a while to finish those last slices because I thought I could have a small 7-inch one, but they don't do thin crust in 7-inch for some reason. So we had 2 10-inch veggie supremo pizzas, and we finished it. और उसके बाद तो फिर इसके बाद क्या था? I thought we'd be having Belgian cocoa chip, but we didn't have Belgian cocoa chip or whatever. There was something with Jamaica in the name, Jamaica chocolate type thing, Jamo. Anyway, it was very nice. And I thought I'll only need half a scoop. Lekin we both got a small scoop. It seemed more than enough, but we paid for one scoop, but the guy gave 2 scoops. Anyway, khatam kar diya. Khatam kar diya, bhaijan. Nothing was left. So you would think after that I should be satisfied. Yeah, you'll be glad to know I didn't eat anything else yesterday evening. But satisfaction? Satisfaction? Santushti? I'm not sure. There's always like something left, something, aur bhi kuch ho sakta hai na. There could be something else. You know. If I had been much younger, then chalo late night movie dekh lo kahin jaake. You know, aur usme kuch aur bhi phadenge beech mein. But anyway, we went straight home, and Nirulas is just 6-7 minutes walk from where we live, very close to here. Anyway, so the point is, a yogi, since they are immersing themselves with what is real, what is truthful, what is closer to our true nature, the yogi is satisfied with very little. Very little sleep or no sleep, very little food or no food. There are yogis who don't need food for long periods of time. There was one who taught at our center in Nepal. He lived up in the high mountains of Nepal, and for years he didn't eat. There were tiny little herbal pills, very small herbal pills, a few of them a day, that's it. And some water. Otherwise no food. But yeah, he was not very careful. He didn't remember to cut his hair and stuff properly, so one time when the villagers saw him, they were very afraid and they threw stones at him, and he had to run away from close to a village. So we have to be careful that we don't scare people or upset people with our strange yogic practices. So anyway, Milarepa is saying that this is his life and he's satisfied with that. You know? I crave for no possessions. Between clean and unclean food, I do not discriminate. I suffer little pain from the sting of passion. With little self-importance, I have few desires. In this way, I can untie the knots, nirvana's knots. That would need some explaining. In Mahayana Buddhism, nirvana is not the aim. We think nirvana is the aim of Buddhism, your own peace and happiness. But in Mahayana Buddhism, no. We aim to liberate all beings from suffering. So to get stuck in nirvana is considered a big problem in one's own self-liberation. So to want your own liberation and to forget the suffering of others is considered very dangerous. So Milarepa is saying he knows how to untie the knots that might cause him to want just nirvana rather than Buddhahood. So that's another thing we need to know, and if you haven't taken an introductory course in Mahayana Buddhism, you may not have heard this, but according to the Buddha and all the great masters and the beings and the texts, we all have the potential to completely wake up and become a fully awakened person, just like the Buddha. It's not that there's one Buddha and that's it, and we can only be disciples and devoted. No, you and me and everybody, including every animal on this earth, can at some point become a holy, fully awakened person or a Buddha. Animals can't do it in an animal body because they don't have some of the nervous, they don't have the nervous system and the kind of subtle body that is necessary to attain full enlightenment. But you and I, we have. As human beings, we can become fully enlightened. We have what is called the Buddha nature. To put it in very simple terms, we have what is called Buddha nature. So we can become fully awake, fully enlightened. So we don't need to stop halfway at nirvana. We can go all the way to Buddhahood. And why Buddhahood? Because Buddhahood is a state where we have continuous spontaneous activity happening from our side, you could say, to benefit others. Although to say from our side is dualistic language, but there is benefit all the time for others from oneself being an awakened person. One can benefit in extraordinary ways. Many, many, many beings. Right now it's hard even to help one person, isn't it? Or to help oneself. But as a fully awakened person, we would be able to help countless beings, countless beings. Then he says, I console old people when they grieve. Loving fun, to the young I am a friend. A yogi, I rove about all regions, wishing devas and human beings to live in happiness. So, when we speak of the practice of the compassionate person, the Bodhisattva, the being who is on the path to Buddhahood or working towards that, then we're speaking of somebody who has opened their mind and heart so much that they want to, and they do relate with everybody. They can relate with old people, young people, middle-aged people, everyone. You know, they can have fun with the young, they can be serious and very kind to the old, wherever they are needed. And they don't just stay in one place, typically. Many of these great beings, they don't stay in one place. Sometimes they do, but very often not. They move around so they can help people in different situations, in different places, in different ways. If some of you have time, you could look at, oh, how about that? I missed one of the great sense pleasures of my life, which is hot tea. मैंने सोचा गर्म पानी ले आए थे, लेकिन चाय है. Okay. So now, of course, there's expectation, right? Expectation. But, you know, someone who has become a chai addict, let's say, let's be honest, then you have an idea what kind of chai you like, you know. So now already there's the anxiety कि ये जो चाय फुरबू साहब बनाए हैं क्या मेरे लायक होगा या नहीं, मेरे पसंद वाला होगा या नहीं. Yeah, but anyway, thank you very much. I will try to exercise equanimity. ठीक है, चलेगा, चलेगा नहीं तो दौड़ेगा, ब्लैडर तो पहुंच ही जाएगा. ठीक है, thank you. Intention is very good. So, where were we? Yeah. So, we can attain Buddhahood. This is very important to know because we can fall into despair. Very easily we can fall into despair or get sidetracked by calm and clear and blissful. We need to know that we can totally open ourselves up so much that there is no longer that strong sense of I, me, mine. One is totally living with that aspiration and action of working with others, benefiting others, constantly. And it's not some heavy burden we're bearing, it's done with great joy, great ease. My teacher used to say, and it's that real happiness in life starts when you begin to cherish others. Real happiness in life starts when you begin to cherish others. Real happiness. To just benefit oneself is a kind of nakli happiness. It's very fake. It's full of anxiety, actually. Not knowing how long the happiness will last. You're so caught up with yourself and your problems and your past and your prejudices and your sense of who I am with all of my problems and my history. You know, पूरा अपना इतिहास को कंधों पे लेके चल रहे हैं. So just to let go of that and to just help one other sentient being, one person, one animal, one insect you save from the WC in the morning. You courageously put your finger into the water and take out this ant which is drowning. Even before you flush, maybe. Because you want to save their life. And then he walks away, you feel, yeah, chalo kuch to, I saved one being's life this morning. So then, at that moment, you're not concerned with your own problem. You know? And if we have someone we help regularly, that can be very, very, very wonderful, because at that point you are helping someone, and at that point you're not concerned all the time with my problem, my happiness, my pizza or chai or whatever being this way or that way. That is gone when we are really cherishing others. Cherishing others मतलब दूसरों को के भलाई में लगे हुए हैं. Really, just focusing on that. Is this making any sense? Sorry for the old students, this is all repetition. So one is just trying to say it in a way which is hopefully a little bit practical and heartfelt, and not just, what's the word? Not just show business. Spirituality can become show business. No? If you have lights, neon lights flickering around and big, it could be kind of show business. Then I could stop and we would all sing a bit and dance a bit and then stop. It could be very entertaining, but it's not very entertaining. No? I hope, though, you're not getting bored. So, I won't quote any more from Milarepa, but for people who are not familiar with him, it is really wonderful. Milarepa is extraordinary, really extraordinary. I want to go a bit more using another source. I want to talk a little bit about why we should be concerned to open up our hearts and minds for this world. It may seem obvious, but sometimes we need to remember, why don't I just take care of myself? There's so much to take care of. When I get up in the morning, so much to do. One's reflections, meditations to do, some cleaning to do, cleaning the body, cleaning the, where my plants are, cleaning the balcony, checking this, checking that. There are so many things to do just in the morning before breakfast. You think that the 3 or 4 hours before breakfast are plenty, but they get filled up with things. There's so much to do. But actually, what is happening? What is it really accomplishing? What could we really do with our life? Why should we care for anything beyond our home and being comfortable and making sure we have enough money when we get old? What else could we do? Let me introduce. Who has not heard of Jiddu Krishnamurti, the great Indian sage? Have some of you not heard of him? Have you heard of Krishnamurti? No. You? You have heard. So anyway, Jiddu Krishnamurti, who lived from 1895 to 1986, was a great being, I would say, very, very great being, who a group of people tried to make into a messiah, into a prophet, and with a big organization, and he totally gave that up in his 30s and said, I'm not going to be the leader of any organization like that. And truth, he said, is a pathless land. You cannot find it through any particular path as such. You have to develop tremendous powers of observation and awareness and work that way with deep, profound attention and awareness. In the present moment, working with that, and not just depending on received wisdom, even if it comes from the Buddha or Christ or whoever. You have to look at things for yourself. Have to investigate yourself. And he also had this whole thing about the intellect. The intellect will not find the answer. This is from a talk he gave at IIT Madras, Chennai now, in 1971, when he was already about 76 years old. And he said that one had hoped that education would not only build a technological world where man would be freed from the machine to do other things, but also help him lead a different kind of life, bring about a different society, a different culture, a totally different religion. But education has not done that, nor has science or communism or any other kind of theoretical, ideological utopia. So we are faced with the problem of human relationship. how to bring about in relationship a tremendous radical change. Because human relationship is society. It is the structure and nature of society. If one is at all serious, and one must be serious in a world that is so chaotic, mad, brutal, meaningless, one has to transform not only the outward structure but also the inward psychological states of mind that make up our consciousness. He's talking 1971, right? So then the world was chaotic, mad, brutal, meaningless. Ab kya ho gaya? All of that 2.0 or whatever we say nowadays. For we are part of the world. Please listen carefully. Okay, I'm quoting someone, it's not my own words, but please listen carefully. He was a very careful speaker, Krishnamurti, and very powerful. You can see his short videos on YouTube. They have a lot of very excellent short videos which have a distillation of his ideas, which is very powerful, very powerful. For we are part of the world. We are not separate from the world. We are the world. I mean, who else is the world? People on some other planet, are they? No, we are the world. We are the world. We have created, the past generation has created this mad, stupid world. And the younger generation, if it is not careful, alert, watchful, will join the older generation in a few years and bring about another mad, stupid society. Mad, stupid society. So it's a tremendous responsibility on the part of the educator as well as the student to consider what kind of world we are going to live in. One sees what is actually happening: revolt, destruction, brutality, war, anarchy. You know all that if you are at all observant, aware of all that is going on, of the utter chaos. So then when you see this, he says, what to do? We can't escape from it or withdraw inwardly. So then he speaks about how we need this complete inward transformation of our minds to be able to work with this situation skillfully. Tinkering with the outward things, a law here, a statute there, a treaty here, that doesn't work. Look how now India is using, or both countries, or India is using the Indus Waters Treaty. Treaties aren't good enough. Treaties can be broken, treaties can be exploited. What's happening, what we need to change is the human mind, everywhere. India, Pakistan, everywhere. Otherwise, it just goes on and on. And he's saying thought cannot solve our problem. Thought alone. Thought alone. Just thought. So this is again something to think about because we are brought up to think. We are taught to think. We use thinking all the time in our education, whether a school, university. Perhaps the only time we're free of thought to some extent might be when we're in LKG. When I look at the lower kindergarten children we just took into our school in Bodhgaya last month, 25 of them, it's a joy to watch because they are still little children who love to hit each other sometimes, but play and draw and paint and jump around. They don't have that seriousness and that cynicism that creeps into the class 8, class 9 children who know that exams are around the corner and who are, been a little bit battered by life, and are very aware of what other people think of them and how they look and so forth. The little children don't mind so much. And those of you who are parents, you also perhaps see a change in your children from when they are 3 or 4 or 5, and then when they are 10, 11, 12, 13. It's a totally different picture. Anyway, I'm just saying how thinking, which I don't know exactly when thinking becomes much more important, maybe not until really class 3 or 4 or 5, I'm not sure. But when we're young, we are naturally not just thinkers. We have feeling, we're in touch with all of our senses, it seems, a little bit more. We get detached when we're adult. We become very serious due to the influence of the mad, stupid society, for one. And, of course, our old samskars as well. Anyway, I'll just read one more para of Krishnamurti, because it's nice to insult ourselves now and again, isn't it? To insult our egos. So this paragraph will insult us, and don't take it personally. This is Krishnamurti speaking. Okay. You see what thought has done right throughout the world, yet thought tries to solve this human problem which it has brought about itself. So you have to understand the whole structure and nature of thinking, not according to any philosopher or psychologist, but by actually observing your own thinking. Perhaps what I'm going to say may sound heretical. Because you've read so many books, you're so full of knowledge of what other people have said, of the Gita, the Upanishads, and all the rest of it. But you don't know what you think, what your own original thinking is, if you have any. Because you're second-hand human beings, piled up with other people's knowledge. You don't know a thing for yourselves. I wonder how the IIT students took that back in Madras in 1971. There may be a video of it or a recording there. He was held in great esteem in the south. He was from Andhra himself, Krishnamurti, from Madnapalle he was born. It's a tomato growing area now, not a tomato growing area. And it's near the Rishi Valley School, which was started in the early 30s. Incredible place if you have a chance, if you're in that area. It's 2 hours drive from Bangalore airport. Rishi Valley School is the school Krishnamurti started. It's just very inspiring to be there and to see how there is another way of educating. Of course, they're very privileged students from rich families. It's a boarding school and extraordinarily beautiful, rugged campus, many hundreds of acres. They're very fortunate. Anyway, so I would say, to bring it back also to link it up with the Buddhist approach, Buddhism utilizes thinking. Of course, we have to utilize thinking in the correct way, but then we can use it in a way which brings deeper and deeper awareness and a deeper and deeper appreciation of other energies and abilities we have within us. For example, okay, say we are told that even Christianity tells us, maybe other religions tell us, love your neighbor, love your enemy, okay? Love the person who is harming you, meaning don't feel hatred for them. Why? How? How are we going to do that? If you sit and calm your mind and watch your breath for thousands of hours, that is not going to help you understand why you need to love your neighbor necessarily, or how to do it. It'll help while you're in that moment of meditation. You will not feel hate for anyone. But then when you get up out of it and go upstairs and the scooter-wala motorcyclist, hits you as they're rushing to their next place or jogs you, you will feel anger. You can easily feel anger, irritation, say something to them. So how do we generate a genuine openness, a spaciousness, a love? And love here I mean, koi filmi gana wala love nahi, but the wish for others to be happy. Just that wish for others to be happy. May you be happy. May you have happiness, whoever you are. That kind of warmth and affection. So then we would have to think, okay, this person I don't like, I label them my enemy right now. Why do I do that? Because they have done something that I don't like, or they have said something to me. Okay, so through thought we can enlarge our perspective. We can say, okay, now this person, they were born, they definitely will have had some kind of sickness, they might grow old, they might not. If they grow old, there's a particular kind of suffering connected with that. They will die, whether they die young or old. There's also suffering in that. They will suffer when they don't get what they want, and when they get what they don't want, they will suffer. They will have unpleasant sensations and feelings and emotions, just like me, just like my best friends. Why is this person behaving in a way that I don't like? It could be because they have plenty of problems of their own, plenty of traumas of their own. If I don't like them because they have said something which exposes my own faults, then of course, if I think about it, I should be grateful to them, to that person, for exposing my hypocrisy, my fault, whatever. So through thinking in certain ways, we can change our perspective towards that person. And if we were to think deeply about what that person suffered, I mean really deeply, getting into it and using our imagination. One very, very excellent practitioner said that the more imagination you have, the better a meditator you can be in this creative, analytical meditation. Because then you can get inside the skin of another person, what it's like to be that person. But it would take some time, right? To go beyond the thinking into that empathy and really trying to understand what that person is feeling. So whereas, for example, and excuse me taking a kind of current political almost example, but okay, so India has very strong reasons to react in terms of worldly relative truth. Okay, we're not speaking ultimate truth here. On the relative level, any country would want to hit back at a country that has probably sponsored a terrorist event. But then if you were to imagine you are a farmer, okay, from southern Pakistan or Sindh, okay, you're already leading a precarious existence because farming is not something that is very well supported in the modern world. Yeah, not much money and thinking goes into improved farming. A lot goes into weaponry and AI and other things. So what's it like to have the meager water supply you had before, or the sufficient supply? What's it like? What would it be like for it to dry up? What would it be like to live in a situation where you and your family are not going to be able to eat enough because your crops are going to fail because there's no water? What would it be like to be in that family, to be a responsible father or mother in a family who knows they won't be able to survive the summer very well, or there'll be great decline in their fortunes? What would it actually be like to be that person, to be in their situation? One has to use one's imagination, right? It's not enough just to read it in the newspaper or on the news. What would it be like? So then you can say, okay, yeah, there are certain people over the border who hate us and who have hated us for a long time, but the average citizen just wants to get on with their life and be happy, right? Have enough to eat and drink, have shelter, warmth, maybe some human companionship. So to get into their situation, then one may be able to develop some feeling beyond just thinking. And certainly beyond saber-rattling and saying, good, they hurt us, we're going to hurt them. Let their farmers suffer. Let them starve. Let them have suffering. Let their children suffer. Actually, if we think about it imaginatively, we won't be able to develop hatred towards them. We might feel then quite divided for a while. Right? Yeah, they're also a human being like me. But on the other hand, we have to give a strong response. Krishnamurti would say these are what happen in a mad, stupid, brutal world. This is what happens. There's many, many factors involved. It's not simple. To come to a situation like this, a lot obviously has to have happened. Partition and before partition, all of that comes in. And then we have this situation now. This hatred, this lack of trust. Whereas, it would be ridiculous to think that a border separates people who want to be happy and don't want to suffer from people who perhaps want the opposite. Maybe they want to suffer. They don't want to be happy. That's ridiculous, right? All of us want to be happy. All of us don't want to suffer, right? So anyway, thinking with some imagination, you can put yourself in the shoes of another person. I tried to for a while, and maybe you've tried this sometimes. I'll stop talking soon because this can go on forever, and the topic is vast. And I might quote my own teacher briefly just to give you some very good material also to think about. But just think about this. When Trump won the election, I really wanted to research what is it that makes somebody like Trump or Elon Musk, okay? Of course, billions of factors, millions, billions, according to Buddhism. You would have to go into past lives also of those people to really understand why they are what they are now. But of course, I don't have the ability to go into their past lives. So I looked at their childhood, from what I could get from Google Swami. And in Google, Elon Musk, he got beaten up very badly as a teenager, badly beaten, thrown downstairs. He was sick for a long time, injured. He was bullied. He was bullied. Hard to imagine because he now kind of built himself in a very tough, almost looks like a AI representation of a human, right? But he was bullied. He was injured badly. He was many weeks injured and recovering. That kind of thing has a deep impact on people, right? Imagine what it does to a person. For some, it would destroy them in the sense they just lose it and become sick and frail and die or whatever, can't cope. But he obviously decided there's another way to work with it in a very... Trump, yeah, he has, I haven't read his niece's or one of his relations' books. I didn't have time for that. But it's very obvious that he had an appalling relationship with his father, who looked down on him and wasn't at all kind to him. I can't remember what the situation was with his mother. But I felt sorry for him and for Musk. Briefly, not for long. Not for long. When I saw Musk with his hat and his child on his shoulder in the Oval Office spouting what I felt was nonsense, then I lost that compassion I had for him for a split second, reading about his early life, being kicked downstairs or whatever, beaten up again and again. But for a while I could feel for that man, and sometimes I can feel it a little bit. And for Trump too, he's kind of deranged. He's living in another kind of world of deception, self-deception, I think a kind of self-hatred also, actually, inside. So anyway, what I'm saying is even the people we hate the most, if we use our imagination, research, think about it, we can then feel something rather than just want to make fun of them or pass on the WhatsApp jokes about them or whatever. You see what I'm getting at? So to understand another person, this is very important. So we have to open up our minds, be willing to do that. So thinking is good, can be good in the beginning, but it's not going to get us to Buddhahood. For that we need to develop all kinds of other inner, more subtle powers of the human mind. Let's put it in that way. We have the ability, it is said, to have a direct yogic perception of the truth, which means we're not using thinking to get there. It's a direct. It's like reading very learned books and treatises on what a banana tastes like, and then one day just eating a banana. Oh, wow, direct realization of banana. A yogic union with banana or karbuza or whatever. So you don't need to read about them and what they contain and the protein structure and this and that and all. There's some incredibly complicated content on Wikipedia, when they describe certain things connected with medical issues and so forth. And I never studied chemistry, so it's just like, wow, so much information. But even all that information cannot tell us what is the experience of eating kharbuz, tarbuz, banana, aam, jo bhi hai. That direct understanding without the mediation of thought. So this is also something we need to work with, that imaginative leap into direct appreciation, direct understanding, beyond thought. But don't forget, initially, thought's very important. It can help us look at things from another angle. Because we can get caught up in certain emotions of hatred, despair, looking down on others, contempt, irritation. So we can develop other kinds of emotions via the medium of thinking, initially. There's a lot more I could quote and speak, but there's no time today. But I did want to mention something from another very interesting, important book, which you may find. It'll be in the library by our teacher, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. It's called Kadampa Teachings. And Rinpoche here is speaking about how to actually practice Dharma, or the spiritual path. Dharma, the Tibetan lamas have taught us, means actually that which holds you back from suffering. That is Dharma. Another way of looking at it is that which creates space in the mind, a spaciousness in the mind. Suffering comes when our mind is crowded with thoughts and sort of a tsunami of different conflicting thoughts and emotions, attitudes. That is suffering. That is dukkha. That is dukkha. So sukha is what the Dharma is aiming for. It is open mind, spacious mind. A mind that is not crowded. It's like if you were to be transported from Aurobindo Marg outside to a beautiful spacious meadow somewhere in, well, one hesitates to say Kashmir, but what you see of Kashmir, or some beautiful, beautiful valley with forests and beautiful flowers, spacious, a sky, that's the Dharma can bring us to that kind of spaciousness and ease, together with the compassion. So this book is about how to create that kind of happiness. So one piece of advice that Rinpoche gave towards the beginning of this teaching, which he gave many, many years ago in Bodhgaya, at our center in Bodhgaya, in January 2003. So those of you who have time, please come to Bodhgaya. We have quite a large center there, and you get a discount at this time of year because it's pretty empty. The best time weather-wise is October, of course, October to February, March, but now is the off-season. It's quite hot, although recently cool, like Delhi. So this advice that Rinpoche gave a lot of commentary on is this, from the great teachers of the tradition: look far ahead, generate a vast mind, and don't squeeze yourself. So look far ahead. Don't just look down at, although, we have all these teachings on mindfulness, so be mindful. Yeah, but look far ahead. Have a vast attitude. Really look far ahead as to what you could achieve as a human being. Yeah? It's like when you have a vision, you want to get to, wherever. You want to get to, where should we want to go? You want to get to Bodhgaya, okay? So then you're not going to stop at Agra, you're not going to stop at Etawah, you're not going to stop at Prayagraj, Allahabad, you're not going to stop at Mughal Sarai, which is now Deen Dayal Upadhyay. I love that Mughal Sarai word. Mughal Sarai station had all kinds of wonders in the old days. Anyway, you don't want to stop there, you want to go further east, because you want to enter Bihar, even though you may be scared of the word Bihar, for many ridiculous reasons perpetrated by, urban elites. Bihar is wonderful, you should go to Bihar. Don't be scared of Bihar. So you go all the way to Bodhgaya. Yeah. You have a vast vision sitting here in Delhi, I want to get to Bodhgaya. I'm not satisfied with stopping halfway. Whatever the wonders may be on the route, I'm going to go the whole way to Bodhgaya and look at the Bodhi tree where the Buddha sat and all this kind of thing. Yeah. So look far ahead, generate a vast mind. So you have to think you're not just going to, when I was young, stamp collecting was a big deal, right? Because people wrote letters. Yeah, there were some very strange people 50, 60, 100 years ago. We used to get a pen and we used to write things called letters on paper. And we would put them in this thing called an envelope and we would stick it and put a stamp on it. And we would go to a thing called a post office and post it. And it was very amazing. It would take days and days, but then we'd get a reply very often. And then you'd open that and you would have a letter, you know. Anyway, we would collect stamps, and that was, you know, he's saying, generate a vast mind. Don't just collect stamps. Do something more with your life, you know. Don't just have a little hobby here or there, you know. Have a vast mind. Don't just help yourself. Have a vast mind. You could help someone. You could help your neighbor. You could help a sick dog. You could help whatever. A child who doesn't have enough food to eat. You could do many things with your life. So look far ahead. Rinpoche gives the example, I guess, a simple one. You have to look far ahead, generating a vast mind, thinking you're going to do all the preliminary study in primary school and high school, and finally study in university and get your degree. With a broad mind, a vast mind, you make a plan to study all these things. Third advice is, Kong Sang Le. I don't know Tibetan. Kong Sang Le. Don't squeeze yourself. Relax, you know. Don't allow yourself to become stressed out, thinking, oh, I have to do all this. So with a vast, brave mind, think, I am going to do all this. Even if it takes many, many years, I'm going to do it. So when you do follow this advice, don't squeeze yourself. Your mind naturally relaxes. Well, that's an interesting statement. For some, it still wouldn't relax, thinking you have to do all this. I don't know if it would relax. But if we have a brave mind, maybe it would relax. So then the issue is how to develop a brave mind. So maybe that has to be the title of another talk. But then before that talk, I would also have to develop 1% of a brave mind. And then I wouldn't be a total hypocrite talking about it. So anyway, even if it takes many, many years, I'm going to do it. Your mind is not stressed, not uptight. If your mind is uptight, it causes wind disease. You feel you can even have pain and anxiety and panic attacks. Yeah? So relax. People nowadays, I find, really don't know how to relax. One thing I can say about being a child in the mid-20th century, or or a little after that, I think we knew how to relax a bit better in those days. We weren't stressed out. We even thought computers